one and only, the international sensation, the fan favorite, and the beloved Sean Strickland.
Guys, my shot is also your shot, and I fucking thank you guys.
Whoa! No! No! You gotta be kidding me! Come on, Izzy, get your black ass up! We rollin'! Yeah! All night long.
Well, shit. Making the Walk podcast. It's actually episode 19.
We got it together.
UFC 293. Yeah. Just started counting. But UFC 293. Wow, that was wild. Like I'm still in shock. Like I haven't even been able to look at other people's, like the things that they've done on social media and YouTube and things like that. It's just, it's alarming. Like I can't believe that Sean Strickland actually beat Israel Adesanya.
Dominated Israel Adesanya.
Dominated. It wasn't even close. Like he's the middleweight champion of the world. Like insane. But before we get into it, like, subscribe, all those good things. Follow us on social media and comment, all that stuff. But more importantly, that shit was crazy. Like I think we had low expectations going into this card, but these are always the ones. These are always
and you never
the
know.
ones.
And you never know.
Always.
Thought this was going to
That's why
be
you gotta
easy.
watch every card.
Every card. Okay.
Yeah.
Every card.
Yeah.
But
sure.
This was an incredible card through and through. Some things we were expecting, other things we weren't. One thing I didn't expect, but I'm super happy about was Laura being a commentator. That was really dope. I think it was something we talked about a couple episodes back where I was hoping it'd be like Laura Bisping and Chael, but we got one of the three, so I think we'll call that a win. I think she did amazing. There was two things though that I thought were pretty funny, and one of them was when DC said, "Can you imagine a 260-pound guy on top of you, Laura?" Like,
that was
thanks,
wild.
DC. You can put me in the spot there. No, I can't. No. So he was either being funny or mindless. One of the two. Either way.
One of the two.
Funny thing.
It was good theater. Yeah.
But Laura kind of had a little, her la-la was on the loose when she was like talking about Strickland, and we'll play the clip.
And this right here, that is Sean Strickland in his element, loving life, fighting like a man. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I thought she was amazing. She did really good. She fit in perfectly. Her calling the Ezekiel choke with Tai Tuivasa immediately. I bet you the guys were like, I was supposed to say that,
For real.
She said it quick too. Yeah.
She did. She was on point.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I'm going to go biblical on you. So, in Timothy 2:15, it says, study to show thyself approved. And that's exactly what Laura Sanko does.
She did what? Say it again?
Great. Study to show thyself approved. She studies the fighters. She studies their tendencies. She studies their previous fights. She listens to interviews. That's why she's so good at it. It's because she studies. Dominic Cruz made a comment about Daniel Cormier, and it was in jest, but he meant it. He said that DC just kind of shows up and he doesn't study. And I think that DC, he took that personally, and he went back and started studying more because, he has a crazy schedule. But Laura, she studies so hard and she comes so prepared That's why she's so good when she actually gets in front of people and gets on the mic. So, I mean, she's super dope. To me, I would say that she's the best. I mean, she just came out, doing pay-per-views, and I already think that she's the best out there. So, I mean, my hat's off to Laura for sure.
Yeah,
I
she
mean, it must be because
definitely.
I had to go biblical on her. So, I mean, she must be pretty dope. I had to go to the Bible on that one.
Uh, I think I heard something yesterday that said, "Hit him with God, hit him with the God." Um,
Hmm.
well, one thing Laura couldn't do anything about was the F-bombs that were dropped during
Oh yeah, man.
this pay-per-view. Um, I don't know. As soon as I heard, what's his name? Charlie something. And then Manel afterward. As soon as Manel said it, I was
Hmm.
like, okay, Twitter apology issued in 3, 2, 1. But it ended up being that Charlie issued the apology, and Manel was just like, I said what I said. And it was an accident,
Yeah,
heat of the moment. Or he didn't say
he
accident,
pretty
he just
much
said
stood on it.
heat of the moment.
He, he was like, I was just heated, whatever, and just glossed over it. But the other dude, like he apologized for it. Social media came, and when they
The
interviewed
whole
him
nine, huh?
afterwards, like everything,
Oh,
he
I didn't
was
see
super
that.
apologetic. Yeah, he was very
Oh,
apologetic about it. He was very embarrassed by what he said. And I mean, that
I'm
was one of
embarrassed.
those
I'm
clutch your
embarrassed.
pearls. It was a clutch your pearls moment. I was like, oh,
Manel's not going to apologize for anything. He came in with guns blazing the whole time. Like his the press conference and everything.
yeah.
I loved it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
I, I
I
think
promise you, he looks like a grown up Emmanuel Lewis Webster. Like he looks like an adult version of that to me. Like,
who'd you
and
say,
that's not even
Webster?
really like, yeah, Webster. Like it's not even like
Oh,
talking shit about him. Like no, he just looks like that dude. Like
yeah,
he looks like him.
yeah,
But I mean, he came to fight though, and so did Felipe dos Santos. But I
yeah.
mean, we could talk about it. That's a conversation for another time. But I do believe that Felipe dos Santos is going to be a problem for that division as he matures. Um, Charles Oliveira Jr. is going to be an issue for sure.
Junior. And I think this card had just so much good stuff coming out of it from
Hmm.
literally every direction. So I think
Yeah.
on a cringy level, that is Aljamain Sterling with the phone thing. I mean, it was, but it was still pretty funny. Like, I'm sure that's the face everyone was making. Like, why do you
Yeah.
do what you do? But
Yeah.
looking at his face
And
and
then
his little smile,
Marab got
so
into it too. Did
cute,
you see that? Marab got into it too.
No, what did he say?
He had a picture by the pool. He had his phone out. I'm like, oh my god, will y'all stop it? Like,
Interesting conversation though about those two, and we can get into that too. But another one is Conor. Did you see that tweet? Did you say I posted it?
oh,
We're gonna show
you
it here
talking
in a
about
second.
185?
No,
You talking about
no,
185?
that couldn't be 185. Connor just posted it
No,
where he
no.
said he was talking about Volkanovski being pound for pound #1, and he said,
Oh
let
no,
me
I did
read
not
it.
see that.
He said, "Ask my bollocks, that little sausage Volkanovski is no way pound for pound #1." He said, "Silly, that's quick work for me. 100% accuracy work. Readable, hittable, hurtable, all the itables." Okay.
First of all, they would never be in the same weight class because Connor can't make 155, and he for damn sure can't make 145. That's the first thing. Secondly, um, I think Alex Oliveira, no matter what Connor weighs, would smoke.
Alex Oliveira?
I say Alex Oliveira. I meant Alexander Volkanovski. Um, I'm thinking
Alex
about Oliveira's. I'm thinking about Oliveira's right now. Yeah,
or
Alexander
Alex,
Volkanovski would.
beating Tai Tuivasa. Wait, I'm gonna pause real quick. We're gonna go into story mode real quick. So guys, we play dominoes often, and I beat the shit out of him like 20 times in a row. He's upset. whatever. We go to bed. This guy wakes up in the middle. I don't even think he wake up, right? You don't wake up. He's asleep and he's talking in his sleep and he goes, I just wanted to see if you dominoed. So
First of all, that is not how
that's
it went
exactly what
down.
happened. It is how it went
I had
down.
a bad night.
He's
First of all,
traumatized and is still
an
showing
upset. It
traumatized
was
by
an
Alex.
upset, okay? It was an upset. It was an upset.
Yeah,
And the
just like
very
Ty
next
and Alex.
day, she went back to her losing ways. It was a bad night.
He
I
won
was
2
under the
games.
influence. I was under
Oh.
the influence. And so, yeah, that's what happened. The
And
dots were
today's
moving while I was
tell-all.
playing. I don't know what was going on, but I had a bad night. So, props to her.
I mean,
Just like
every time I pull from the
Matt
boneyard,
Serra or Juliana Pena,
I
they
score.
had their time in the sun, and then the champ came
No,
back and
he
took the
did
belt back, and
not.
that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So
Moving right along. Izzy and Sean, let's talk about it. Okay, this is a unanimous decision, 49-46, all the way through and through.
yeah, I almost finished them too.
In the first round.
Yeah. I think that I don't know if that messed up the whole fight for him, or if Izzy was just off the entire night, and I'm not going to blame it on that. A
Was
lot of
he?
people
Did
have said,
Izzy do like anything different than what he normally does?
I think so, and the reason that I say that is not just from my perspective, but from Alex Pajeda. He said that Izzy wasn't right, and nobody knows Izzy inside of a cage or inside of a ring more than Alex Pajeda, and he said that Izzy wasn't right. So I'm going to take his perspective, um, as well as
That's an
Eugene
interesting
Behrman.
comment.
But I think that Izzy wasn't right, but that doesn't take away from what Sean did, because Sean had to make him uncomfortable and make him not right. And he took advantage and beat him literally with the basics of boxing. And Izzy couldn't figure out the timing of that right hand, kept on catching him with that right hand. So, I mean, what can you do? He wasn't doing anything to set up any shots. He was just going backwards and trying to counter. And Sean just wasn't giving him anything to counter.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. So,
yeah.
okay. So you, I don't even think I heard what you said. Did Izzy do anything different in this match? Which is usually,
Anything
chopping
different?
away at the legs. Yeah.
He tried it, yeah. He tried to chop away the legs. And he was, he was kicking his legs, but Sean checked a lot of those kicks. But not just that. When he threw a leg kick, he made him pay. Plain and simple. He didn't let him get away with anything. You do something, I'm going through it. And it actually reminded me something of what Dan Hardy said. Hardy said that not only the defense, but the fact that Sean just doesn't care. He doesn't care, about how good you are, your technical prowess, or anything like that. He doesn't care to give you any respect. He's going to do what he's going to do, and he's going to walk forward through all of those things. And if he gets you, he gets you. If he don't, he don't. And that's just kind of the way that Sean is.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what worked.
Yeah. I guess I kind of agree with that. I just initially I thought to myself, did Sean do anything different than what he normally does? And then I wondered, well, shit, did Izzy do anything different? I genuinely didn't see a different Izzy. I just think maybe the only thing that was different was the fact that he didn't adjust. He didn't readjust. And that
Yeah.
was really it. But like, can he? Has
Can he
anyone else
adjust?
ever fought him this way? You know what I mean?
I find it hard to believe that in 100 fights that nobody's done this. I
Mm-hmm.
can't think of a time that anybody did this specific thing, but there's got to be a situation where this has occurred to him, because Izzy doesn't necessarily always carry that one punch knockout power, even though
Neither
he did
does
what he
Sean.
did to Alex Pereira. But
There was some anger behind that punch. He had feelings behind that punch.
he sat down on those punches, that right hand,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
yeah, who knew? Who knew? I mean, he spun him too when he hit him with that right hand. Spun him around, had his leg looking all crazy. Like
Mhm.
Sean came. He came to. I mean, but that's the thing is he fights
That
like
was
that.
crazy. He literally fell to the floor.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think that could have been a stoppage, but like we talked about, he's a champ. So I think Mark did a really good job at being patient and kind of letting that play out.
Yeah,
And Izzy getting his black ass up? Because that's what
yeah,
he had to
as Mighty
do.
Mouse would say. Yeah,
Yeah, that was hilarious. But
yeah,
woo, I think Sean did have. I mean, he literally did the exact same thing with Alex. I did go back and watch that fight, and the thing that Sean does honestly is he he does have the weird guard situation, but he leaves himself open a lot, and that's how he got caught. And I felt like Alex was more on point, and he definitely has that one shot knockout power that Izzy doesn't
he
have.
does.
Power that Izzy doesn't have. I don't
Yeah,
think talking about his dog and his nails were going to make him mad enough to have the knockout power.
nah, I think that Izzy can seriously hurt somebody, but just the one shot dead power that Alex Pereira has, like not many people carry that, and that would have been helpful. But also just being somebody that initiated it, initiated the fight rather than being a counter striker, show some different things in the fight. I think that would have helped, but it, just a lack of adjustments. That part right there
Looking Sean was
kind of let me know
relentless
that
as all
he got
hell
something going
too.
on. Yeah, yeah, he's not going to do anything different. Like
You mean going on in his personal life?
I don't know, somewhere outside of that cage before he got in there,
It
something.
could be. He hmm. So he has been okay. This fight is so exciting. My mouth's salivating and I can't get my life together. So I'm gonna take a sip of my drink really quick and gotta give me a second. Okay. Okay. So
As you were saying,
he's been wearing those weird shirts about somebody not being his bank account or something, or him not being someone's bank account. I don't know. But I do
yeah,
remember something about his like ex-girlfriend and blah blah blah. So maybe
yeah.
he's got some like legal issues he's kind of dealing with. It still does. Again, it doesn't. I don't know. This does lead up to what I really wanted to ask, which is matchmaker time, right? What happens next? How does this shake up the division? Um, does he get the
Hmm.
immediate rematch? Should he?
Well, I think that one, he deserves an immediate rematch because of the length of time that he's been a title in title contention. The fact that he's basically put on for the company relentlessly, been a headliner over and over and over and over and over again. Yes, I think that he does deserve to walk back into a title fight, but I don't think that that's what should be next. I think that he does need to take some time away, get you some rest, and allow the middleweight division to play out. You got Dricus Duplessis that's waiting in the wings. You got Jared Cannonier who weighed in for the fight as a backup. You got the winner of Hamza Chimaev and Paulo Costa out there. And then you got, even though he's coming off of a loss, you still got Robert
Good
Whitaker because he
old
has a
Robert
win
Whitaker
over Sean Strickland. He has a win over Sean Strickland. He has a win
and
over
Cannonier.
Paulo Costa. He has not a win over Paulo Costa, but a win over Cannonier. So
Mm-hmm.
he's only one fight away, in my opinion. So you've got other people in the division that are there, and I feel like um, uh, pushing Izzy to take some time off does two things. It gives him that time, so he can come back fresh and hungry, but it also allows the division to not be stagnant, which is what instant rematches do. So I think that he does come back into a title fight, but I think that it'll be whoever's holding the belt at the time, whoever that is.
Yeah. So I did listen to one thing today, which surprisingly, Robert Whitaker, and I didn't hear it all the way through, but obviously one of the things they talked about was the same thing. And then obviously DC chimed in like after the fight saying he doesn't think Izzy should do the rematch. And a lot of that goes behind, okay, well, he lost the belt to Pereira. Okay, great. He got it back. And his next fight, he loses. It just doesn't seem fair. And I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but it doesn't seem fair that Izzy would get a rematch and Aljo wouldn't. Is like literally the same scenario. And I'm paraphrasing two different perspectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I think that Izzy's been a more dominant champion. Aljo, if you look at his title defenses and his title win, he hasn't been dominant in that fashion. So I think you kind of factor that in. But also, you have to factor in he's the number one star in the UFC active.
Mm-hmm.
Not counting Conor McGregor, we already know that you're the biggest star in combat sports, but you're not active. Izzy
Mm-hmm.
is. He's the biggest star. They're gonna give him that opportunity, but I think that he needs to put some bubble wrap around him and push him and say, man, you need to go get into some sand, buy some water, get your family around, shoot some videos, just hang out, just be cool, rest up, heal up, let things play out, talk shit on Twitter, just do those things for a little while, and maybe come back at UFC 300 and try to get your belt back.
Yeah, create some scarcity. Okay, we need to miss you and get your mind right.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the movie coming out, so that was going to be
Yeah.
even more things that he had to do, like which that may play a part in what happened here. You know, his media obligations, not only for the fight, but as well as for the movie. Like he's got a lot of plates spinning.
A little Ronda
Not
Rousey on your ass.
Again, not saying that should have taken him away. That takes away from Sean Strickland's win, because Sean still beat him in the cage fight.
You know what?
Sean got stuff going on in his life too,
You
I'm sure.
did say the stars have to align, number one, so clearly that happened. But two, Izzy's mental. So it is something you said. So yeah, we don't ever want to take away from, Sean went in there, he did what he was supposed to do, which is just relentlessly respawn no matter where Izzy was. And
that is for sure. That's
jab.
Izzy tried to back up and then he just spawn kill every time. But yeah, you're right. What do you think should be next for Izzy, by the way?
Yeah. Well, one thing, did you see his little footwork and thing? My fingers were supposed to imitate what his little feet were doing. Probably around 3 or 4.
You talking about Izzy's or Sean's?
Yeah, Izzy. Yeah, of course, Izzy, for sure. I don't know. We didn't talk about it, but it was something I was just super mesmerized by, but it was for sure super Muhammad Ali. I thought that was really dope though.
Yeah.
He tried it. What do I think is next for Izzy? So this idea was definitely planted into my mind by the Robert Whitaker guy, whoever he does his podcast with. He's super dope. But it's not a bad idea. I don't dislike it, which is Izzy fights Dricus to get a title shot. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it, but that's also, I don't hate it.
It's also just my bias, because the question was from Robert, which was, what does his co-host and obviously the people watching, what do they think his path to victory is, right? His roadmap, as he calls it, to the title shot. And my immediate thought was, well, I genuinely think he's a win away. He's one win away, regardless of whatever it is. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But the idea was Izzy fights Dricus, which kind of frees up Sean to fight Whitaker. Apparently it was a fight that Whitaker wanted before he became the champion, because he wanted to fight like top 5 people to get to the belt. But I don't hate it. Besides that,
not bad.
I honestly, what I want to see in middleweight is Hamzat. I don't care who it is. It would be super dope if it was Hamzat and Izzy. Super weird matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of interested in seeing that. I don't think Dana does that to Izzy, though.
No, Izzy's going to fight for a belt when he comes back. Dana's main thing is he's got to make sure that Izzy takes some time off.
Get you some rest.
Off. But another dark horse in the division also is Marvin Vettori. So don't forget about that guy. He's
I
he's
did forget about Marvin
too. And he has a win over Paulo Costa. So if Paulo Costa were to win over Hamza Chimaev, then that throws a wrench in that whole situation, because that brings Marvin Vettori right back in the mix. So like the top 5 to 6, they all have a path to the belt. And that's what I like about when dominant champions lose. It just shakes up the division. Laura Sanka she said that at the desk afterwards. Everything just goes into a shaker and you just spill it out, and there's opportunity for everybody.
I don't know, man. I feel, man, I'm kind of torn about it. I love Izzy. But it's kind of the same thing as Brandon Moreno. You know, with him, it was like, dude, they gave you these back-to-back amazing, however many fights he had with
6 of
Figueiredo.
Well, four with Figueiredo. There's 6 title fights in a row.
I feel like he deserved it. Aljo definitely feels like I felt like he deserved it. Izzy, because of what happened to Brandon and what happened to Aljo, I'm kind of feeling like I don't like this outcome. I do kind of want to see him fight someone else, because it does tie up the division if he just comes back and you give it right back to him. It's like he really is like the golden boy.
Well, he is.
I mean, yeah.
I don't necessarily. Yeah. I'm fine with him fighting whoever, but I just think it needs to be for a belt when he comes back. It just needs to be like 6, 7, 8 months from now. He cannot. He needs to be protected from himself. Same as Brandon Moreno. He needs to be protected from himself. Same as Aljo. Be protected from yourself. You need to rest. So Aljamain, he even said that he needed to rest and still came back for the money. Like, you need to go away and rest, and come back ready to go. But, for Sean, assuming Israel is not the next fight, who do you think that he should fight?
If it's not Dricus, Cannonier. He was a backup fighter.
And he beat him.
He did beat him. I would say one of those two, just like what makes sense. But like what I want are things that don't make sense, like Robert Whitaker or some crazy different timeline where none of that shit works out. And somehow Hamzat's like,
I think this is an easy call. I think that what they're going to do is they're not going to announce his first title defense for quite some time. Not until after UFC 294. If Hamza Chimaev, who is a pretty significant favorite over Paulo Costa, despite what the UFC website says, it's incorrect. But Hamza Chimaev, if he comes out and he finishes Paulo Costa, they are going to immediately let him jump the line and fight Sean Strickland, whom Hamza Chimaev will be a favorite against. So I
Against?
think that's if they were to match up Sean Strickland and Hamza Chimaev will be the favorite.
Oh, will be the favorite. I thought.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he'll be the
Now,
favorite.
yeah. Matchmaker time is always fun.
It is. And I think that's, if they can't have Izzy as champ, them having Hamza Chimaev as champ is a nice consolation prize. Not that Sean is not going to have a nice reign. It's possible because he is a good fighter. He is a good striker. He has great defense. He's well-rounded, even though he didn't have to show his wrestling. He
What happened
deserves
to
that championship belt.
Somehow we all found out. We all found out that the little woe defense that he's got going on, it actually works.
It works. It does work.
Everybody was out here talking shit.
And that's the thing, is like he has to be fast enough to do it, and he was.
Mm-hmm.
He was.
Yeah.
He's been doing that. I mean, just like, again, going back to Dan Hardy, he mentioned that he does this all the time because he spars constantly. So, yeah, he flinches a lot, but that's because he's just super reactive. And when all that flinching, he was catching all kinds of shots with his hands, with his arm. That Philly shell worked. And who knew that it was going to work against Izzy?
Do you remember there was a post Conor did? I don't know who the heck he was making fun of, but he had like a little hat on, and he kept doing the like, what is this? And he would pick his knee up, and it was almost identical to what Sean was doing. I'll send you the video, and you can post it. But
I know what you're talking about because he looked like One Piece. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he looked like, you know, the anime One Piece.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
With the hat.
I don't know nothing about that. No, I've been going down this super depressing rabbit hole of figuring out what's happening in Seattle with fentanyl and Flocka.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Not Waka. There's literally a drug called Flocka out there, and apparently like 0.1, is it 1 grams or something? Like you can literally overdose off of it. And I'm like, why would you want to do that though?
I don't want any parts of it.
Yeah, it's really sad. So yeah, that's been consuming my, if I'm not doing UFC or, work research, I'm looking at that.
On that Waka Flocka. Okay.
I knew you were going to say, I should have never said anything. Like, super quick sidebar. Did you watch Bisping, like, the 2 weeks or whatever, the preview before this, 293?
For 292 or for the fight night before that?
I don't know what I'm talking about. No, yeah, 293. Yeah, 293.
The preview for this one for 293?
Yeah, like
no. I watched part of it. I don't think I finished
it. You did? Okay.
I watched part of it. Yeah.
I actually just watched it this morning, I think. But something that I thought was interesting, and I know I asked you this question, and it was about the walkout songs. And I asked you if other fighters use, different fighters walkout songs and blah, blah, blah. Do you remember me asking you about that? Okay. So they had a fan question.
In reaction to somebody having Sean saying the Lupe Fiasco song.
That's what it was. Okay. So interestingly enough, they have like those fan questions that they answer at the end. And somebody had asked about that. Do they find it offensive if they are retired and someone else is using their song? And Anthony actually said that one time the UFC called him and asked if it was okay that another fighter used one of the songs that he used to use or whatever. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised.
I know, right? Yeah, they were like, I think I would be flattered, but apparently it's not like a role, but it depends on the fighter. Basically, it's circumstantial, apparently.
Yeah, probably based on their stature. Like, what did you got? Frankie Edgar is one of my favorite walkouts. He used to come out to a Biggie song, you know, kicking the door, waving the 4-4. Like he used to come into that, and I think it would be odd to hear somebody come into that. But if somebody were to come in and it was like Marlon Moraes who trained with Frankie and he came into that, like I can understand that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the UFC
Like if,
even like did that. I'm surprised.
yeah. I mean, it does tie, any type of feeling and stuff to the fighter, which I didn't think about
Yeah.
it in that way, but it was anyway. But like if somebody came out to like Wonder Boy, I'd be like, what?
That now you can't.
Yeah. See,
That ain't gonna work.
yeah, it's a
No,
thing.
you can't do that one. You can't come
So,
into that. You can't come into the
oh, we got
Cranberries
feelings.
zombie. You can't come into that.
Yes. That's probably what prompted her
Off
question.
limits.
Yeah, for sure. It's like retired Jersey level off limits. Like
Yeah, that's
can't
off
touch it
limits.
for sure.
You
I'm
you damn near can't come into the Notorious. Dang, which
Oh
song is it?
yeah.
You know the one that the Connor comes
Connor?
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes. Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, that's not gonna work well. But you know who might? Ian Gary
That
might
weird
come into
ear.
that song.
I almost said something that I shouldn't. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to not. Okay.
He did an
Anywho,
interview about the fight, by the way, about Izzy, and he said that he felt that Izzy lost that fight more than Sean won it. Um,
that's a
I don't know
perspective.
that it's not a bad one, but I don't know if I agree or disagree. I don't really know. I'm not
I
really sure.
My
Kind of
question was
50-50 on
going to
that.
be, did Sean do anything different? And when I rewatched it and I'm starting to think about it, I immediately changed my question to, well, shit, did Izzy do anything different? So I don't know if I really, really agree with that.
I think
Um,
you hit it on the head when you said it earlier that he didn't adjust because what Izzy he started with, that's not different from what Izzy started with or starts with, but he makes adjustments.
hmm
He makes reads, he sets traps, and he didn't do those things. That's the
Yeah.
difference. That's the actual difference.
In a
So
way, I almost feel like, did we see like Sean just transform, elevate at the end of this match when he fucking turned into Volk and just went from Sean Strickland, I'm sad about my dad, I do whatever I want, you know what I'm saying? Like that person, I fight just to fight, to fucking gladiator, to a Viking. He like the way he was screaming at
I
him,
think
I was getting Volk
yeah,
vibes for sure. You know,
I to me,
dude,
he didn't change at all. I felt like him being himself is what
uh-huh.
won him that fight. If he tried to change and be anything other than himself, he would not have won.
I
He
don't
won being
know.
Sean Strickland.
I
I think
don't know. I've never okay, so
if
I
you
don't
go
watch a
back and
lot of
watch
his
the
fight.
fight, if you go back and watch the fight, and I know you haven't seen a lot of his fights, but like if you go back and watch the fight that he had when he first came back from the motorcycle accident, when he first got back, this the same guy. He fights the same way. Matter of fact, he actually turned it down a little bit for this fight. But
Yeah,
that's
but
the same. It's the same guy. He ain't no
yeah,
different,
but
and
there's techniques,
it
right?
was good enough.
You've got tools, and they're usually all the same tools, and whether you decide to sharpen them or not, that's up to you. But the only thing that's different when you go into, the octagon, besides your opponent and the problems you're solving, is your mental. And it's like Leon Edwards, the whole Rocky moment. What does coach tell him? Stop fucking feeling sorry for yourself, blah, 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 that shit. Like,
Yeah.
did you, what's his name? Is it Nick something? Sean's
Oh, Eric
coach?
Nixick.
Whatever.
Hmm.
There we go. When he told him, we didn't come all this way for a boring
Oh,
decision.
yeah,
You,
yeah,
yeah. When
yeah.
he did that, I immediately knew this fool's gonna win this fight. Just the way he was
Man, just
pumping,
the
the way
way
he
that he
stayed
was.
on him too.
Yeah,
Like, you're not going nowhere. We're talking right now. Like getting through to him
yeah.
and really knowing his fighter,
The way that Sean was just ready to go back out there like immediately, immediately. He was like, "No, I don't want to." He was trying to put pressure on him during the 1 minute in between rounds. Like he was pressure, 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 and like it was amazing to see. And you know what also was amazing to see was the reaction from Nina Drama and the reaction from Chris Curtis. Those are two of his friends, and just to see their reaction, like uh, it really humanized who Sean is. He's wild. I mean, he extra wild, and he says some outlandish shit. But
He's a
but
straight ass
there's
maniac.
he is, but he's somewhere down there. He's a good dude, and that showed through in how his friends reacted.
That kind of gave me chills, and that's very, very true. Because I did shed a little thug tear, seeing Nina. She was the one in the crowd, right, where she was like,
Yeah.
like mouthing Sean Strickland, and then just like went beast mode, screaming type deal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a softie
Yeah.
because I, like before the preview, I was watching Islam versus Charles Oliveira, and when he won, I saw my throat. It was thick. And I, Khabib coming in and picking him up, I was like, "Aw." And so I think I kind of had that same feeling, seeing Sean win, because, like I said, I'm done underestimating these scenarios and situations. You never freaking know.
You never know what's going to happen in this sport, and that's why I love it so much. It's always an opportunity.
The fact that we're like geeking out over fucking Sean Strickland is blowing my mind right now. But last thing, like cherry on top for me, is realizing what he came out to. Fucking and the ants come marching or whatever.
Oh yeah, the ants go marching one by one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked up like what does that like childhood song mean?
That shit on Coco Melon. I just heard that shit.
Yeah. Jeremy can sing it with you, Sean. Anyway, but apparently that was about a like whoever composed the song, his sister was kind of waiting for her fiance to come home safely or whatever. So I think that's pretty interesting that he decided to play that song. And I know it probably has a lot to do with the whole Chinaman thing and him really trying to connect with his audience, but I think he did a really good job. I mean, he's a fighter that's going into a war, and people are rooting for him, cheering him on to make it home safe. And I don't know. I think that was perfect. It really just was like this is the bow on top for sure.
Absolutely.
We just went
one more remark before
30 minutes about Sean, but yeah.
I knew it was gonna be like that. But like the one last thing that I'll say about Sean is that he reminds me a bit of Robbie Lawler in the sense of obviously he talks but Robbie don't. But their mentality when they get in the cage is very similar. As far as like just I came to fight. I love to fight. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at, and that's what I want to keep on doing. Until somebody stops me from doing it, I'm gonna keep on fighting. And Sean is obviously more verbose than Robbie is, but their mentality when that cage door closes is very much the same.
So the way Sean handled his win was so much better to me than O'Malley. I don't know. And Sean is a raunchy guy, right? And, I don't know. I feel like if someone like Sean can be that graceful in his win, I think O'Malley can too, right? I mean, O'Malley didn't, for example, like, hey, you want to give Aljo the immediate rematch? Fuck that guy. Sean was like, anybody, anytime. If you want it, cool. I'm here to fight. It is what it is. Like, I don't know.
I think they have two different philosophies on how they look at fighting. O'Malley looks at it as a business, and Strickland looks at it as a sport. not even really as a
A
sport, just
sport
as a
or
contest,
a
a
discipline?
contest.
That's a
I
way of
don't even
life
think
for
it was a
him, to be
discipline.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a
It's just like
discipline.
this is what we do. This is just what we do. I do this
Yeah.
every day.
And I
But
don't think that's
O'Malley
not
is
what Sean
more
thinks. I think he's just baby
with
Dana
Sean.
O'Malley. He's a
I
baby
think that
Dana.
I think he's about his business. Um,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's what he's about. He's definitely more on the Conor side of things than
Yeah.
somebody like a Robbie Lawler. Um, so,
Oh, that's a good
but
point. And I really hope he overcomes that. I don't want to see Sean. He's got his thing about him, right? But I still don't want to see him go down the same path that Conor did. When you think too much about
which
the
one?
business
You talking about O'Malley?
side, yeah.
I think he'll be smarter about it.
Mm,
Not that Conor didn't make great decisions, because clearly he did. You don't get that
yeah.
rich by accident, but he's made some very poor ones as well. As far as like his interactions with people, I think that O'Malley is gonna learn from that. And then Sean Strickland, he doesn't really give a shit, so he's gonna do whatever he wants to do, with or without the belt. It wasn't really gonna change. He's the same dude, same guy, just a
Yeah, but
lot richer.
I think it matters in this business, like the way the fans feel about you. Because if you think about Aljo, I think the way the fans perceived him had a big part in the outcome of, in his current reality. And so if
It's
Sean
true.
kind of goes down that same path, you know, I don't want to see him go down
Mhm.
that path, because he's definitely talented. He's fun to watch. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah.